say 20 because I've been 20 years here. Obviously, it doesn't work like that, but my children speak fluent Tamil, and my Tamil is very limited. And that's because you guys are so good at English, and Tamil is a hard language. But the problem is that you manage so well in English here, and you are very good at taking care of us foreigners here. Where should I be? I hear that. Okay. Okay. Well, that's better. Okay. So it was very easy to come here. 21 years back, my wife and I would travel around India and China, and I was in software business. And my wife was working with it. She's a teacher, but she was interested in social work. And we looked for somewhere to do something different. And but I only knew IT, so it ended up me starting an IT company, and my wife started a school for poor children. But it's not just a school for poor children, because she works with small classes and it's high quality, so the children go on and go to college. So now, this year, the first round of children, those who joined Little Lamb School quite a few years back, they are graduating from college. 2 boys from Loyola College in economics, and one from another college, I don't remember the name, but that's the first batch who come that far. I'm going to speak, I was asked to speak about how it is to be a businessman in India and all of that, but because I have to leave for Sweden on Monday, and I didn't really have time to prepare something. So what I did is I took a seminar which I have used for, training both Indians about how to work with foreigners, mostly focused on Scandinavia. So this is going to be a little Scandinavian edge to it, but I try to generalize it. But also for Swedes, or Westerners, how to work with Indians. While I saw on the introduction text here about that we're a global village and we are moving together, there's still huge differences, and I think the differences are positive. I think it's dangerous when we try to be the same. And that goes beyond how we look, it's how we behave and all of that. Now it's interesting that we're different. You guys, when you're coming out and looking for a job, many of you are, over the years, going to work with people from other cultures. And your skills in how to interact and understand other cultures will be critical in your career, if you want to go a long way, that is. A lot of programmers prefer to sit in a corner and just do things, and they think like understanding other cultures is not important. But there is nothing like engineering where you sit and just work with technology. When my wife and we were going out, then she was thinking of IT as just technology, and I always kept on telling her, IT is about people. If the technology is not used to help people, it has no value. So at the end of it, if our profession and our engineering and our management, whatever, is not focused on people, we're not going to be successful. So with that, I'm going to, as a short introduction, so I'm going to speak a bit about culture, and what you see here is a nice some nice Indian food, eaten in an Indian way. And what I've done when I worked in Sweden with an Indian team, once I took out a team of Swedes, a team of Indians to an Indian restaurant, and then I told the Swedes, well, let's go to the bathroom, clean your hands, because now the Indians are going to teach you to eat with your hand. And it was very interesting, because the Swedes loved it, and the Indians felt embarrassed. So I think I told a little bit about who I am. I've been here 20 years. I should also mention I studied engineering in the 80s in Sweden, but I never finished my degree, so I was a dropout. But then I thought I should still, whenever I've been working on professional projects, all of that, I had to give my CV, so I felt a little embarrassed, so I thought I'd have to get a degree. So I got in touch with the Swedish college, and I studied a Bachelor of BSc Economics for a few years, but what I worked with in the final year was I wrote 2 theses. Thesis. Sorry, my English is not, English is not my mother tongue, as you knew. Swedish is my language. I'm going to teach you a few sentences in Swedish also, but we'll take that later. studied economics, but I studied about the cultural challenges in IT outsourcing. And this seminar is, to some extent, based on that, but I'm only going to touch on the academic aspects a little bit, but I'm going to give you some tools more. If anyone is interested, I can give you a lot of references to academic papers about these things. But this is not rocket science, so there are a lot of different perspectives on this one. You can have quantitative analysis of culture, you can have qualitative analysis of culture. And there's a lot of different paradigms, and it's important to just try to understand, try to walk in other people's shoes. That's the end of the day, it's most important. After that, I've studied a master in informatics, where I've studied challenges related to agile software development and formal quality system, ISO 9000 and CMMI and other things like that, which also is to some extent to do with culture, because it's to do with different paradigms. I'm sure you have studied something about what a paradigm is. Anyone who knows what a paradigm is? What's a paradigm? What's a paradigm?
It's a kind of reference process itself for looking methodologies in the IT sector.
Right.
Subject to quality deliveries.
In order to?
With respect to quality deliverables.
Right.
So it's nothing but a process setup or framework.
A paradigm. A paradigm is more of, is a worldview. It's a kind of full perspective, a full perspective to a worldview. So you could say with a certain paradigm, that's your current philosophy, how you understand the world. It's a concept which was introduced by Kuhn, I think it's not Kuhn, and in the 60s or something like that. But it's a bit of an understanding. You have different paradigms. You have a positivist paradigm, you have a subjectivist paradigm. A positivist paradigm is like Newton's mechanics. You drop a stone on your foot and it hurts. You can calculate it, you can predict it and all of that. A subjectivist paradigm is that it's my impression of it, my interpretation of what is happening. It hurts, that's probably more of a subjectivist paradigm, but that it drops in a certain time is a more positivist paradigm. It's a focus of study. Now, I'm going to mix a lot. I'm going to refer to things which come from positivist paradigm, and we talk about quantification of culture. I don't personally think that is so useful to do, but it helps to get a quick picture of why are people different. But then there's a big difference between people in different cultures, and therefore you have to be very careful when you generalize. My company works, I'm Swedish, and we work mostly with the Scandinavian countries. And the company is not a huge company, you said a large company. We are about 50 people. But we are a high quality company. We work with very high value. We are working mostly with people who are very good at their field. In the beginning, in the 90s, India was mostly a place where we were just cracking code. We're not just like that. We're doing a full service to our customers. We have taken contracts from TCS and from other big companies because they were not happy with them, and we're delivering higher value, higher quality than the big companies. Our people stay with us. We have almost no attrition. We had one person left last year, another 2 people the year before, and typically that's the way we are. We have 40% women, and they stay forever. Men in their 25, before men get married in India, they move around a lot. Married men or women I employ. Young men who are not married, I think twice about employing. No, I'm just joking. Of course we do, but I'm more looking for people who want to stay and who want to work a long time. That's the way I recruit. Well, I know when we're recruiting women that they'll stay with us. We're flexible, we have arrangement for when they want to be home with children and all of that. We give them a laptop, they can work and all of that. And they're so grateful, so they stay with us forever. With the guys, once they get married, they stay with us also. So. This is about culture also. Now I'm overdoing it now, and I'm going to generalize a lot. And Indian friends, they always tell me, it's not quite like that. Of course it's not quite like that. Of course generalization don't apply to everyone. So whenever I'm doing this kind of generalization today, don't worry. I know it's not just like that, but it helps to understand, to kind of put things in that way. And we have to do that. Like when you think of a chair can look in a lot of different things, but you still all know what a chair is. That's a generalization. This chair doesn't look the same as the chairs you're sitting there. It's a different color, but you don't care, right? It's a chair. And we need generalization to understand the world. Now, our company works with customers mostly in the Scandinavian or the Nordic countries. We have a few customers in the UK as well. Most countries are in Sweden. Most customers are in Sweden. And here you see some of our customers. Recognize any of these? Scandinavian Airlines, ABB, TNS is the world's largest market research company. Swedish Match is the inventor of the matchstick. PostNord is a combined post office of Sweden and Denmark. SKF, bearing company. Q3 is a world leader in road toll systems. One of the 3 largest in the world. They're about the same size, all of them. Fara is a leader in Scandinavia for public transportation, smart car system. For traveling with one car, you can travel on all modes of transportation. Just a few examples of who we work with. Most of them we're working with today. A few SKF we're not working with right now, but most of the others we're working with. Culture. Now, when I show this picture and tell what I'm going to tell now, Indians often are a little bit embarrassed what I'm going to share now, but I'm going to share it because it's a good example how culture develops. Now, I don't know if it is just like this, but this is my theory. In the West where I grew up, we have a lot of trees, and we make paper, and paper is cheap. It's also cold climate, and we clean ourselves in one way, and you clean yourself in another way. Interesting thing is both cultures think the other one is doing it in a weird way. It doesn't feel natural for doing it in the other way. But if you look back and look logically about it, water is in good supply and it's a warm climate in India. In the winter when it's -10, and you need to keep your hygiene and all of that, it's not so easy, right? And it's natural why these things develop. A lot of things develop from these things. We don't think about the reasons why culture developed. We just think this is the way we do things. We are not aware of why it became like that. In fact, the reason for why we did, there is no reason in the world today why we use toilet paper in Sweden. It's not environment friendly. We could well change to do it in the way people do in Asia. There's no reason in the world not to do that. But we have been taught and we have grown up in a certain way. So we think the normal way is the normal way, what we've always done. You think the normal way is what you have been taught, and that's always there with all our cultural things, but they're not necessarily logical. They're not necessarily logical. I think it's important to remember that when you come across another culture, that the behavior seems logical for that other person. You react to it because you're coming from another background. But it's right for the other person based on where they're coming from. And this is very important. You don't have to react negatively to another behavior. That's the way they are. They consider me as strange as I consider them strange, and that's okay. And it helps a lot to see the world in that way. So when it comes to how we greet each other and how we behave in different ways, we are very, very different. And you greet each other in different ways. And I want to volunteer now. Someone who is very daring and want to come forward here. You are? Okay. I would like to have one guy and one lady, so 2 of you. You have to be daring, so. Okay? One each. Okay? Okay? Okay. In India, when we speak to each other, we come quite close, right? This is quite normal, right? You feel comfortable with this. Most Swedes and most Americans don't feel comfortable with it because we have to stand further away. Okay? This is more normal when I'm speaking to someone professionally in Sweden. If I'm speaking to a man, I can come a little closer, like this. But I wouldn't come close like this. then if you walk close to me now, I'll move back. This is very normal reaction. But I can come much closer to a woman, like this.